In this how-to video, you will learn how to work with demographic data in NVivo 11. Make sure you have a copy of the PDF document Profiles for 4 GP interviews. It looks something like this. We will take the information from this as we work through. We are working from GP responses to carer support. In NVivo, we want to create some classifications. So in the left-hand corner, we're going to select classifications, and we're going to select case classifications. We're going to right-click in the box and click New Classification. Here, we are going to click Add one or more predefined classifications and select Person and click OK. Now we're going to open up the person case classification with a little plus sign in the corner, and you can see a number of pre-populated classifications already appear. Now we can select our case classifications. So for example, we're going to select sex, double click on it, and it will appear. Make sure the name matches the attribute. And now we're going to add values. Under the Values tab, for what we want to populate in our classifications. So first we're going to select Add, and we're going to type in female, and then we're going to click Add again and type in male and click Apply and OK. Now let's do the same thing under Occupation. So we're going to double click on Occupation, make sure the name matches the attribute, select values, and if we look back at our PDF document of our GP responses, we have 4 participants and we have 2 general occupations. So we have rehabilitation specialists and we have general practitioners. So we're going to go back into NVivo. Again, we're going to click Add, and we're going to type in rehabilitation specialist, Add, and general practitioner, Add, Apply. Sorry, I've created an extra one by mistake. So you can remove one if you clicked one by mistake, and then select Apply. OK. You can also delete attributes that you don't think are relevant to the information you've collected. So for example, on email addresses, we're going to select email addresses, right-click, and select Delete. Yes. And you can see that that has disappeared. You can also assign certain participants to nodes, which will make it easier for when you go back and see which participant has said what specifically. Now let's select nodes, and on the top we're going to select cases. To create a new case, we're going to right click in the blank space, select new case, and here we can type in the name of our participant, Tom. So we can select OK, and we're just going to repeat that step for our other participants. So right click, new case, Jane, OK, right click, new case, Pam, OK, right click, new case, and Neil. OK. Now you can select and highlight all 4 cases and right click, select classification, and select person. Now under the Explore tab, you can select case classification and person, and here the information will appear where you can now select and group the appropriate information. So for example, with Jane, we will select female. For Neil, we will select male. For Pam, we will select female. For Tom, we will select male. Now the other one we populated was occupation. So for Jane, we will select rehabilitation specialist. For Neil, we will select general practitioner. For Pam, we will select general practitioner, and for Tom, we will select rehabilitation specialist. So now we've placed the information for each participant under the case classification. Now if we go back to our sources file and select GP interviews and double click on Tom and go down and select nodes and make sure cases is selected, and again working from Tom we can now input the information that Tom said. So without highlighting the questions, we're just going to highlight all the information said by Tom, click and drag it under Tom. We'll do the same thing for the next question, same thing for the third question, fourth, and fifth. You will repeat this step for each participant. So again, going under sources, now double clicking on Jane, Jane's interview will open, clicking back on nodes, making sure you have Jane there, and we're going to highlight that information and put it underneath Jane. So this is not coding your data, this is just putting the information, what was specifically said by each participant under their case classification. Again, we're going to source, we're going to select Pam now this time, go back to our nodes and select and highlight Pam's information and place it under Pam's name. And last one, going back to sources, and we're going to select Neil, going back to our nodes and highlight Neil's responses. You can see that the reference and the sources are adjusting as I'm highlighting the information and placing it under each participant. Now that we've done that step, we can actually now begin to run some analysis. So we're going to start with a word frequency. So under the query function, we are going to select word frequency. And here a number of options will appear. We're going to change some of these options. We're going to remain all sources. We're going to select displayed words. We're going to change it from 1000 to 300. We're going to keep with minimum amount at 3. We're also going to go under grouping, and we're going to just drag it down to with stemmed words. So just what was said talking. It will help to refine our word frequency a little bit. Now we're going to select run frequency, and you'll see a number of words, the length, the count, and the percentage of what those words were said will appear. You'll also see that some additional tabs have appeared here on the right hand screen. So if we select word cloud, here you can see that the responses have been grouped accordingly to what was said. So carers was the main response by all participants, followed by patient, support, and need. You can also view the data by a tree map, and you can see again the size of the box reflects how much that was said throughout the interviews. The last option they give you is a cluster analysis, and here you can see that they've grouped the words again according to how much was said and who said what. So we can also perform a coding search inquiry. This will let you examine the word count on what needs to be coded. So to perform a coding search, again we're going to go back to the Explorer tab, Query tab. We're going to select Coding, and you can see here that we have a coding query that appears. Again, we're going to change some of the functions. We're going to make sure all sources are selected. You're going to change your coding criteria to any. And underneath coded at, you're going to select any case where and you're going to click the dots, and we're going to select our attribute person, and we're going to open our attribute and select sex and click OK. Now we're going to just click an additional option. Equals to is already selected, and we're going to select female. Now we're going to run query. Here you'll see that all the information that was coded by the female participants appears here. Again, a number of tabs have appeared on the right hand screen, and you can click on references, which is the first one that already appears, and you can click on text. So now you can see that it will pull up the information that was specifically said by Jane and the information that was specifically said by Pam. So here you can see that you can, with your group classifications, you can select and pull out the information based on the attributes or the case classifications that you have selected. So that's the end of this how-to video on how to work with demographic data.